Hey everyone,
Mhm.
it's Arfan here, owner of Grow Automate Scale, and I'm joined with Renee. Hopefully you can see her on the camera. Just perfect, perfect. Thank you so much for being with me today. I'm excited because we're coming at you today and we have a unique conversation. You may hear in this online world that you're one funnel away, and there's a lot that's omitted from that that's not said. So I'm joined with Renee. Renee is a digital marketing specialist in terms of being able to know how to the strategy of how funnels work to the point that it's not a funnel, it's more what she calls the filtration system. So it's a unique approach. And I'm going to have her talk a lot about that as we get into it here. So I'm super excited. I'm super excited to have her here, Renee. And thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to have this conversation. And you are absolutely right. We are not one funnel away. I prefer to use the term filtration system over funnels. And of course, we're going to dive in deeper into that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really happy to be here and, have open the conversation and get people thinking about funnels and filtration, well, the filtration system method that
Yeah.
I use in a different way that's a little bit easier to think of things, and also in a way that focus keeps the focus on the actual impact and reach and outcome that you want to have for your business, as opposed to just like strictly revenue
Mhm.
generation and sales. Because we got into business to enjoy life, because we wanted to
Mhm.
get away from the rat race. So if it is, you're implementing things that are causing you more stress, then we need to
Yeah.
question why
I'm
why we're
really
doing that, right?
Yeah, I'm really
So
glad. I'm really glad you brought
yeah,
that up because that's one of the big reasons I had you on here. When we first connected, we are part of a group, and we are able
yeah,
to link up and connect. And I immediately saw the value in that. This was the online business was a vehicle to be able to achieve something much bigger impact. But
exactly,
even more so than that, personally, it allows us as business owners to achieve something that we all sought after. Right? It's time, it's freedom, and it's the ability to do things that don't steal our joy, things that actually
exactly.
spark us, enlighten us.
Hmm.
And specifically, I think I saw it somewhere where you have it where that you shouldn't be spending time on work that steals your joy, frustrates you, and prevent you from doing things that you love, right? So I'll add to that things
Yes,
that I love:
exactly.
traveling, hanging out at the beach, taking a nap.
Yeah,
I
in the middle
enjoy
of the
building
day.
funnels. I actually do the strategic version of
Yeah,
building funnels. I enjoy that the
yeah.
strategic part of it, not the actual technical setup.
Actual,
I guess that's where you come in for that too as
yep,
well. And
yep.
really truly is spending quality time with kids. I've shared before that
Hmm.
I grew up without a father. Mine passed away when I was very young, and it's a privilege to be able to have a business, to be able to operate online, to be able to
Absolutely.
operate out of my home, to be able to take my kids to school in the morning, pick them up in the
Hmm.
afternoons, and spend quality time with them where they're not looking at the back of my head where I'm
Yeah,
working, but they're looking at the front of my face and we're present, having a conversation. We're able to build
exactly.
a lasting relationship. And these are relationships to me that matters the most in life is the ones with my
Yeah,
children, my family, the
exactly.
clients that I work with, all these things. So
Hmm.
this is why we do what we do, and I'm so excited because we share that similar value.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and I do want to though, before I dive into the juicy stuff, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself, like how you got
Mhm.
started, some of the
Mhm.
let's get to know you a little bit better
Yeah.
before we dive into all the business stuff.
All right, no problem. So I actually have 10 years of business experience. I started out in the beauty industry. I was a salon owner. I owned two salons, built one of them to multiple six figures, trained staff, and they still family members who became staff, and they still actually run one of the salons that I have in Trinidad. And that was my first foray into, the business world and understanding how business works and marketing and operations
Yeah.
and sales and, all of those things, social media, all of that. And it was a really good introduction into, how to run a business, how not to run a business,
Hmm.
and how to, communicate with people in such a way that you are memorable. To this day, 10 years later, I still have clients who go to my original salon. There are people who still find me from searching,
That's beautiful.
natural hair in Trinidad. And they still find my number and, contact me to get support, because I built that foundation, all of those years ago, even though I didn't think I knew what I was doing at
Hmm.
the time. But yeah, that just goes to show, the value of having a strong mission and a strong vision for what it is you
Yes.
want to do, and
Yeah.
delivering exceptional service, in a way that, as I said, people remember you, they refer you, on essentially nonstop.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
they just to be able to express, or what should I say, give that service and share that the joy of what you do, and in a way that people can actually see how that plays out, physically for them in the beauty industry. So that's where I started. And then I
That's
had my son
fascinating.
in 2017, and I realized that, as much as I love this, as much as I love, interacting with people, being the hair therapist, and all of that, it was not sustainable for me. Like, it's being in the salon industry takes a toll on your body. It is still essentially time for money. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, there has to be a better way to be able to, not have a cap on your revenue, and to be able to have the flexibility and the freedom. Like, he's just like you. I wanted to be there for my son. I wanted to be able to spend time with him. That wasn't just, on a Sunday, because in the salon industry, you work on a Saturday. Like, you don't ever
Oh
have
yeah,
free Saturdays unless you actually take that time off. Um,
I understand
so,
that.
I really wanted to be able to just on a whim go take him somewhere. I have what I call the effort Fridays, and I would take my son and we just go to the
Mm-hmm.
beach, right?
That's
So,
awesome.
being able to have that opportunity to just do those things, without having to answer to somebody, or without having to lose revenue because you are not physically present somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That is what led me to the online space. And initially I started out as like a general admin VA, and I was, doing all of the calendar management and all of those admin things. And then I quickly realized, the
Yeah.
same way that I did not like admin when I was working a 9 to 5, before I started my salon business, I do not like it virtually either.
Gotcha.
So I
How
was
did
like,
wait,
yeah,
one question. How did you get introduced to the online world?
nice.
Because
Um,
like I just want like
uh-huh.
for me, like my
Mhm.
my wife started doing business coaching and I was
Right.
oblivious. I was in the back end. I was a retail store manager, had a team of
Right.
120 people, $20 million
Right.
location. And I
Hmm.
didn't know anything about online, but she was learning
Right.
all these things and she
Right.
would tell me like, hey, learn this ad thing on this
Hmm.
course. And out of
Hmm.
curiosity, I was like, well, what
Yeah.
are the other videos saying too as well? And that's where I started learning
Right.
about freebies and lead magnets and
Minus
funnels and
right.
the whole
Hmm.
strategy. So how did
Right.
you get into the online world
I
from
actually
the
had a
where you were?
mentor because I was like researching, what can I do from home, or what can I do that can allow me more flexibility. And I was introduced to a consultant, and he was, telling me, he was mentoring me about consulting. And then I had another friend who became my mentor, and she actually had
Mhm.
an agency. She had a tech agency, and she was
Nice.
originally based in Barbados like me, and then she migrated to Canada. But she was able to, like, as I said, mentor me based on, the progress that she had made and how her business evolved over time. And that's where I got introduced to the virtual, being a virtual assistant and doing virtual work. And that's where I started. And actually, how I got into funnels specifically was I had a
Mm.
prospective client, and she wanted funnel support. And she was like, are you familiar with Kartra? And I was like, no, I'm not, but I am pretty good with tech. I know my way. I figured out my way around WordPress, which is like one of the the more challenging platforms. Um,
Yeah.
like, it can't be worse than WordPress. So I got the trial, started, fiddling around with things and putting together pages and understanding how automations work. I was like, oh, but I enjoy this. Like, this is fun. I like this. And that's how I got started with funnels. Doing building landing pages, all the opt-in pages, sequences, checkout pages, putting all of that together. And I really got into it because it marries two things that I'm really good at, which is, it has a creative aspect in terms of developing the marketing campaigns, from a design aspect, designing the pages, and
Mhm.
all of that. And then also there's the very technical, very methodical aspect of it in terms of the automations, conditions and if and then, and making sure
Mhm.
everything connects together systematically. So because it marries those two things, it's like a sweet spot for me in terms of like finding the thing that really lights me up, and that I really enjoy doing, and that still allows for significant amounts of creativity and flexibility, and opportunities to try new things and experiment, and all of that. So yeah.
That's awesome. So hang on, I gotta back up for a second because anyone listening right now, you gotta sometimes realize when you talk to somebody and you listen to their story, how awesome it is, how
Yeah.
amazing it is, and how much things happen. And there are
Mhm.
opportunities where you could have been like, no, I don't even,
Yeah.
it like, whoa, dread is me. I'm just stuck being a salon owner and just live
Hmm.
that life and just stay there. But
Yeah.
you didn't. You made a shift, made a change.
Yeah.
You already had something good going. And you still do,
Yeah.
but like that was good. Like there wasn't anything that was
Yeah.
so
There was
you were
absolutely no reason
struggling.
for
You
me to
weren't,
stop. No.
yeah. Yeah, and I can assume like being in that, going through that, and then building something like that, it's like there's not that pain, but what the pain that does come up though, and you mentioned this, is the time pain,
Exactly.
because we can have finances, but if the time is not there, it sucks and rob us dry. And that's also
Hmm.
the case for a lot of people in the online world. When they don't have these systems in place, it can suck us dry. There was about 2 years ago, my wife and I, we did a time tracker, and we were both doing about 60 to 80 hours a week working. And when we
Hmm.
realized this, was like, okay, no. And the same way, we had
Hmm.
a mentor that helped us to figure
Hmm.
this out. So like, there's so much value and so much power in this. So as you're hearing the story, there's things that I'm picking up on, that's like
Yeah.
super smart, hardworking, smart working, not hardworking physically,
Yeah.
but there's that, but all smart working, and take an opportunity. And then your circle, you had friends,
Hmm.
mentors, people that are able to pour into you and help you
Exactly.
to see where it is. Now, I had a question too as well, right? So
Hmm.
going from where you were, established salon owner, to
Hmm.
then going into doing a VA administrative task,
Yeah.
how did that feel? Like how did that feel going into a role like that compared to
Hmm.
what you're doing and your expertise and your gifting, all that stuff?
I felt like I was only using like part of my talents,
Mhm.
as a salon owner. And even when I got into the VA space, again, it was like, this is not like the best use of my talents, which is why I like jumped at the opportunity to be able to do the tech setup and that kind of thing, because it seemed like a new challenge, a different challenge, something. I am one of my strengths. I don't know if you're familiar with like Clifton Strengths and Strengths
I am,
Finder
yes.
reports and that kind of thing, right? So one of my strengths, my top five is Luna. So I'm always like, I love learning something new. I'm always like reading something, always trying out
Mm,
new platforms, because there are like a zillion all in one
yeah.
platform. Somebody's always coming up with something. So I just love, like, I don't necessarily sell it or become affiliate necessarily, but it's just the joy of being able to, tinker around with something new and see, oh,
Mhm.
okay, well, this is how their methodology works. This is what their interface is like. This is what, what I like to call the logic of the platform is like, because each platform has a specific logic by which they operate. And once you know that, you could pretty much set up anything you want on a platform, right? Without having to like dig through their knowledge base for hours. Anyway,
Yes, yes, yes,
that's a
yes.
whole other discussion. But
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a whole separate thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
that's
yeah.
awesome. So just to really catch us back up again. So you had the
Mhm.
salon, introduced
Mhm.
the VA, went in there, and
Yeah.
the opportunity came up. A client who needed Kartra work. Kartra is a difficult
Yeah.
platform, by the way. Anyone who uses Kartra is not
Really, I thought it was so
um
easy.
the most, like it's simple, but in terms of like compared to like
Understand
Kajabi or
again,
some
the
other platforms, yeah.
understanding the logic is what is
Yeah.
the problem. So if you know what you have to do first, then next, then third, then fourth, then fifth, then it becomes easier. But they don't explain that at the beginning. So you're like, oh my God,
Yeah,
where do I
it's all
find the
over
thing?
the place. Like, what's going
Yeah.
on? And
Yeah.
tracking and coding is probably one of the pet peeves on that for a ads person. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like,
I don't
track.
yeah.
So
It's
um
not like it's good, but it's not my go-to anymore. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, so talk to me a little bit more
Hmm.
about it. So I know what you got there now, but you developed a
Hmm.
little bit of a framework. You call it a filtration
Hmm.
system.
Yeah.
So I want you to just expand a little bit more about why you don't, or talk about what you feel about the
Hmm.
term "you're one funnel away."
Yeah. Yes.
And then tell us a little bit about the
Mhm.
filtration
The
system, your
filtration system.
framework, and we'll
Right.
go from
Yeah.
there.
So, I've spent the last 4 years in the online space, being on the back end of numerous launches, setting up evergreen funnels for, a variety of different types of businesses. So, and people in the fitness space, people in the coaching space, people in the food delivery space, legal, PR, so many different fields. And I noticed certain things happening based on kind of like the results that we got, from setting up the funnels and from the launches that they've done. And also I did a sprint, which is like a 5-day kind of challenge with an operations specialist, somebody who specializes with businesses that do 250K and over in terms of like streamlining their operation. And she called it the Demand Gen Challenge. And that is actually what kind of sparked the idea for the filtration system, because she had a completely different approach to marketing. She looked at it from an operations standpoint as opposed to like the marketing, like creative marketing standpoint. And it was, as I said, it's something I realized I was doing. I was doing the exact same thing that she was saying. I just didn't know it. And I was never able to articulate it until she said, and I was like, oh, okay, let me think a little bit more deeply about that, because that's the other thing. I don't just like follow a cookie cutter template or do, okay, but let's say, webinars are the thing, or just recommend webinars to your clients or something. Like I'm always evaluating and examining and, reviewing what works, what is not working, like what are the trends, what is something that is sustainable, what is going to work in the long term, right? And also looking at people who have like poured a ton of money into ads and funnels and didn't get the results that they wanted, because they just essentially followed somebody else's blueprint and didn't actually consider what they wanted to do. Thinking about all of those things and like how can you make this better and make it in a way that is actually meaningfully communicating what it is you desire as a business owner in terms of revenue and impact and reach and your client results, and also from the client experience standpoint, what do they want when they engage with somebody who they're looking to find a solution for their problem, who they're looking for as the solution, I should say, to their problem, right? And so to get back to kind of like the one funnel away, it always seems like, oh yeah, you just do this one thing. We have this habits in the online space of making things look so easy, super easy, barely an inconvenience, to quote Ryan. But yeah, we tend to make it seem like, oh yeah, you just have to do this one little thing and the money is gonna come pouring in, and you're gonna be flooded with clients and contacts and referrals and that kind of thing. And it's like, no, just like everything else in business, you have to take a risk and you have to experiment and you have to figure out what works for you. And part of that is experience, and part of that is also, like I said, being willing to take a risk. So I noticed that, they tell you, oh, you're just one funnel away, or, oh, quick cash injection funnels. And these things sound easy or sound simple in theory. They're like, yes, you just need X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, no, they can say that because they've spent 15 years perfecting their own funnels. They have a team of 10 or 20 people, and they can afford to, take a massive amount of risk. They can afford to, what should I say, try all of these kind of complicated steps. And, when you're not at the 7 and 8 and 9 figure level, you don't need all of that. So I was like, how can we simplify this into the easiest way possible for you to build a relationship, communicate the value of your offer, and once the initial engagement period ends, how do you continue that relationship? So that's why I have my filtration system, because honestly, what you really want to do is not just focus on the sale. You want to focus on, am I actually providing the right person with the solution that they need at this particular point in time? Because if we're talking about, being mission-driven business owners, if we're talking about, as I said, wanting to have this particular lifestyle and have the reach and the impact that we want, because we bring in value to other people's lives, and we're we have a particular mission that we want to carry out, then that should follow through in your marketing. And funnels are no different. So it's not just about, okay, well, how much money can I wring out of this person, because we need a upsell. We need a what do you call a one-time offer? We need an add-on. We need a tripwire offer. Like all of these things, you just keep getting more, and nobody stopped to think about, is this actually what they need? And
Yeah.
is this actually is what I'm adding or what I'm offering actually giving them the outcome and the result that they want and that I want for them,
Hmm.
right? So
So I
you have
love
to
that.
think
I
about
love
it
that.
holistically and not just how can I get the sale? Because to me, funnels are all about making the sale, whereas a filtration system is about guiding someone to making a buying decision. And a buying decision could be, yes, I want to work with you because you have the solution, or it could be no, not right now, or it could be no, this is not actually what I need at this point in time. So there are three possible answers that
Yeah.
that you
Awesome.
that that can happen, and also that give you information as to where people are in terms of the buying cycle, when it comes to your business. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, you
Yeah.
also developed a
Hmm.
little bit of a checklist where you provided,
Hmm.
just through your experience, you provided
Hmm.
specifically 12 different questions that
Yeah.
um, people just basically got to get a hell yes on
Yeah. So, yeah.
before they want to go basically put a funnel live or even develop the
Yeah.
entire funnel, right? So
Yep.
where can they download that? I'm going to drop a link in the description, but you can
Yeah.
tell us here too as well, what
Yeah.
that
So they
bit.ly
can go
link
to
is.
bit.ly/hellyeahchecklist.
Awesome. There you go.
And
So
yeah.
you're gonna get that checklist. They're gonna so Renee put that together, and the thing is, it's
Hmm.
utilizing her experience, everything she just mentioned about creating a filtration system versus taking a funnel approach, which is just funnel
Hmm.
is just literally you drop people in, and then you hope they go straight through.
Very true. Yep.
Filtration takes it through, and there's a very similar approach we use when we work with our
Hmm.
launch clients, and we're mapping out a launch, and we're looking to see we want what's the offer and what's the best way to get ideal client to making a decision to say yes on that offer. And that may not be a webinar, but we call it a conversion event because it's
Again,
like
yep.
taking people somewhere that they can be able to make a decision. It's
Make a
kind of like a little
decision.
incubator or a
Exactly.
nurturing pod. Like, is it a challenge,
Hmm.
a 5-day challenge? Sometimes that may be the case where someone needs to get more educated. Like
Right.
you're meeting them at such a ground zero that you need to bring them
Hmm.
up to where your offer makes sense because
Exactly.
um, I've audited a lot of funnels, and I've seen things
Hmm.
that say, "Hey, here's a funnel, is a landing page, a thank you page, and literally just says thank you." And
Yeah.
like, there's an email that has awesome thank you. Here's a download, and I'm like, that's not a. You got the pieces technically. You know,
Yeah, but it's the strategy.
you hit those, but there's no
Yeah,
strategy, there's no
strategy.
thoughtfulness behind it.
Exactly.
There's no connection, there's no aliveness, there's no
Exactly.
there's no trust that's being built, and
Hmm.
there's no value really being provided in the email other than the freebie that's delivered. Not saying it's not valuable. So I see these things, and there's a difference of, and that's talking to the people we're talking to. I know everyone is not really. We understand that, and they
Yeah.
know now. They're a lot of my clients are at a point where when we recommend is we do specific tags because we want to be able
Hmm.
to track the long-term effect of the
Perfect.
ads.
Exactly.
So in the third, fourth, and fifth launch, who's buying?
Hmm.
Because we see where someone signs up on launch one and they don't buy until 4 or 5 or 6. And having the
Right.
right system to be able to make decisions on that is one of the big levers that allow us to
Hmm.
really scale our business
Exactly.
to hit those multiple six figures and get to that 7 figures because of the simple things
Hmm.
that help to make the needle move. And I know you focus on those simple things like building the
Exactly.
connection, bridging the gap from where they are, what they're thinking in their
Exactly.
head to where they need to be. So I'm super
Yeah.
excited. Download that free resource,
Yeah.
and again, I love your approach on the filtration system. It's a fresh perspective, and it helps to um, when we're sitting down and putting together a funnel. Don't think of it like that. Think of it as you're sitting down and you're putting together a filtration system that is allowing people to make a decision. And of
Exactly.
course, if you need help making that, you know how to know where to reach out to. And when you're
Yeah.
ready to run ask for it, come on over and let's get the traffic there so we can
Yeah. Exactly.
tweak, test, and go. Like there's
Hmm.
so much tweaking and testing. We talked about it before. Like
That's right.
there's the actual funnel itself. There's ads, which drives traffic. There's organic
Hmm.
things there, and it's so much that really goes into truly um making it work really good. It
Work.
can feel
Exactly.
overwhelming, right? So
Yeah.
when you have things like the 12 question the checklist which walks you through what you need, it helps to
Yeah.
simplify that and takes the complexity out of it so you can create a
Exactly.
filtering system that works and that produces results.
Hmm.
So again, end of the day, it's less time spending on doing mundane tasks that just drain you, frustrate you, steal you of
Yep.
your joy, make you want to go look at a wall and just cry. to feeling more freedom, having more quality time,
Yeah,
being able to take a nap because you want to, not because you have to, and hang out at the beach and getting roasted in the sun just because it's fun to do. So,
absolutely.
thank you so
Yeah,
much. But before you go, though, I want you to just give us any
yeah,
kind of imparting words of wisdom, just using your 10 years of
yeah.
experience, your
Mhm.
whatever you have to tell anybody out there before we close our
Yeah.
conversation off.
Awesome. I think that the most important thing is really to focus on the relationship and the person, what over the revenue aspect of it. And of course, yes, we're in business to make money and all of that. But I really think that if we go back to, and the environment that we're in right now, with the impending recession and all this economic uncertainty and all of that, is forcing us to go back and rethink the approaches that we've used in the last, let's say, maybe 5 to 7 years, and go back to a more traditional way of approaching marketing and relating to people. And when I say traditional, I just mean building genuine relationships, whether that's an affiliate
Mhm.
relationship, a referral relationship, a direct relationship, where somebody is engaging with you on a paid basis, or word of mouth, having those raving fans and that kind of thing. I think the focus needs to be nurturing that, and whether you do that organically and manually, or whether you use a filtration system to kind of facilitate that on an automated basis, and also whether you use ads to help scale that communication and that connection. I don't think it matters which set of things that you use to market, but really to think about the heart of what it is you want to communicate to people, why it is you got into this business in the first place, and make sure that everything that you're doing, whether it's organic, whether it's paid, whether it's amplified, whether it's a more intimate, um what should I say, a more intimate number of people that you're working with, make sure that you maintain that connection and that focus on really providing that value, and remembering that all of these things need to align with your the ultimate goal of whatever that mission it is you created your business for in the first place. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So true. And that is awesome advice. Someone 10 years of
Mm.
business, 4 years online, knows what she's talking about, built the funnels, has seen what works, seen what doesn't
Mhm.
work. And what's the difference? It's really just building that connection, bridging that gap, and taking that more thoughtful and mindful approach
Yes,
to it
approach.
rather
Yeah.
than the cookie cutter generic approach where um it doesn't
You
feel
just
real.
bang
You want to
things
make it
together
feel
without
real.
the strategy,
Yeah,
exactly.
make
And
it
or
real.
doing something somebody else is doing because they said it works for them, but not
Mhm.
recognizing how it applies to your business, or if it actually does apply to your business. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's like that tip of the iceberg approach, right? I see sometimes like,
Yes.
hey, I see somebody doing a webinar, but they don't have any idea everything that's entitled, that goes their ad spend,
Mhm.
how long they've done
Exactly.
it, the team they have behind it,
How much they
all the
perfected and tweaked and
exactly,
all of those
exactly,
things. Yeah.
exactly, all those things. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's amazing. So awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
so much again for hopping with me today, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye
Yeah.
bye.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye.